Hello everybody. Today we are going to start fourth chapter from An Alien Hand from supplementary reader, and the lesson name is The Cop and the Anthem. Cop means police, or we can say policeman. This story is about a poor homeless man called Soapy. He intentionally wanted to get into prison for 3 months to survive winter, as he was homeless. But always he wants something and happens something. Let us see in detail. Soapy moved restlessly on his seat in Madison Square. There are certain signs to show that winter is coming. Birds begin to fly south, people want new warm coats, and Soapy moves restlessly on his seat in the park. When you see these signs, you know that winter is near. What is mentioned here? Soapy, who is Soapy? Already I have told you. Moved restlessly. Restlessly means feeling uneasy. On his seat in Madison Square. What is Madison Square? Madison Square is a name of a park in New York City. Means this story of New York. Name of a park. There are certain signs, there are certain indications, symbols to show that winter is coming, winter is approaching. Birds begin to fly south, warm places. People want new warm coats, and Soapy moves restlessly, uneasy on his seat in the park. When you see these signs, you know that winter is near. Let us move ahead. A dead leaf fell at Soapy's feet. That was a special sign for him that winter was coming. It was time for all who lived in Madison Square to prepare. A dead leaf fell at Soapy's feet. You may notice in the picture as well. That was a special sign, symbol, indication for him that winter was coming. It was time for all who lived in Madison Square, in the park, in that area, to prepare for winter. Next, Soapy's mind now realized that fact. The time had come. He had to find some way to take care of himself during the cold weather, and therefore he moved restlessly on his seat. Here there is no difficult word. You might have understood third para. Let us move ahead to next para. Soapy's hopes for the winter were not very high. He was not thinking of sailing away on a ship. He was not thinking of southern skies or Bay of Naples. What is mentioned here? Soapy's hopes for the winter, for 3 months, were not very high. He just wanted, he was not thinking of sailing away on ship. He was not thinking, he doesn't have any plan to travel on ship, sailing away on a ship. He was not thinking of southern skies. What is southern skies? Already mentioned there. Warmer places, hot places. Or the Bay of Naples. Or the Bay of Naples. What is Bay of Naples? It is in Italy. 3 months in the prison on Blackwell's Island was what he wanted. What his plan was? He just wanted 3 months in the prison on Blackwell's Island. What is Blackwell's Island? Already mentioned there. Name of a prison. What is Blackwell's Island? Name of a prison. If Soapy went to prison, the government would look after his food and stay. That's why he wanted to go there, because of he was jobless, homeless. 3 months in the prison on Blackwell's Island was what he wanted. 3 months of food every day and bed every night. 3 months safe from the cold north wind and safe from coughs. This is what Soapy wanted most in the world. So where he wanted to go? To Blackwell's Island for 3 months to survive winter, to live there for 3 months. Next, proceed. For years, Blackwell's Island had been his winter home. It was not first time. For years, Blackwell's Island, that prison, had been his winter home. Richer New Yorkers made their plans to go to Florida or to the shore of the Mediterranean Sea each winter. What is mentioned here? Richer New Yorkers, rich people of New York, wealthy people of New York City made their plans to go to Florida. What is Florida? A name of a state in America. So plans to go to Florida or to the shore of the Mediterranean Sea each winter. Soapy made his small plans for going to the island. He had just a small plan to go to Blackwell's Island. And now the time had come. 3 big newspapers, some under his coat and some over his legs, had not kept him warm during the night in the park. So, Soapy was thinking of the island. There were places in the city where he could go and ask for food and bed. These would be given to him. He could move from one building to another, and he would be taken care of through the winter. But he liked Blackwell's Island better. What is mentioned here? Instead of going Blackwell's Island, there is one more option which is mentioned here. So Soapy was thinking of the island. There were places in the city, means apart from going Blackwell's Island, there were places in the New York City where he could go. In easy words we can say hotels, restaurants. There also he could go, and there also he can survive for 3 months. But he can't go because of he was jobless. He might have didn't have money. There were places in the city where he could go and ask for food and bed. These would be given to him. He could move from one building to another. He could move one restaurant to another. And he would be taken care of through the winter for 3 months. But he liked Blackwell's Island better. But he preferred to go to Blackwell's Island. Next, Soapy's spirit was proud. If he went to any of these places, there were certain things he had to do. In one way or another, he would have to pay for what they gave him. They would not ask him for money, but they would make him wash his whole body. What is mentioned here? Soapy's spirit was proud to go to Blackwell's Island. If he went to any of these places, which is mentioned in previous paragraph, one place to another means restaurants in the city. If he went to any of these places, there were certain things he had to do. In one way or another, he would have to pay for what they gave him. They would not ask him for money, but they would make him wash his whole body. They would make him answer questions. They would want to know everything about his life. That's why he did not want to go there in the city. No prison was better than that. The prison had rules that he would have to follow. But in prison, a gentleman's own life was still his own life. So what is mentioned here? No prison was better than that. No prison was better than that. The prison had rules that he would have to follow. That's it. But in prison, a gentleman's own life was still his own life. Soapy, having decided to go to the island at once began to move towards his desire. So he started to do something to go to island, Blackwell's island. Next, there were many easy ways of doing this. The most pleasant way was to go and have a good dinner at some fine restaurant. Then he would say that he had no money to pay. And then a cop would be called. It would all be done very quietly, very easily, or we can say with peace. The cop, the policeman would arrest him. He would be taken to a judge. The judge would do the rest. These are all things he just imagining, thinking. Soapy. Do you understand? Next. Soapy left his seat and walked slowly out of Madison Square. What he did? Soapy left his seat where he was in the Madison Square, in the park. Soapy left his seat and walked slowly out of Madison Square from the park to the place where the great street called Broadway and Fifth Avenue meet. So he left the place, left the Madison Square, and he went to Broadway, or we can say Fifth Avenue meet. It is a wide street in New York City. He went across this wide space and started north on Broadway. He stopped at a large and brightly lighted restaurant. What happens? Let's see. This was where the best food and the best people in the best clothes appeared every night, or we can say every evening. Let's move ahead. Soapy believed that above his legs he looked all right. What he thought? Except his legs, or we can say except his shoes, he looked all right, perfect. His face was clean, his coat was good enough. If he could get to a table, he believed that success would be his. The part of him that would be seen above the table would look all right. The part of him that would be seen above the table would look all right, good. The waiter would bring him what he asked for. He just imagining, thinking. He didn't go there yet. He began thinking of what he would like to eat. In this mind, he could see the whole dinner. The cost would not be too high. He did not want the restaurant people to feel any real anger. But the dinner would leave him filled and happy for the journey to his winter home, to go to Blackwell's Island. Then, but as Soapy put his foot inside the restaurant door, the head waiter saw his broken old shoes and the torn clothes that covered his legs. Strong and ready hands turned Soapy around and moved him quietly and quickly outside again. Next, Soapy turned off Broadway. It seemed that this most easy way to the island was not to be his. He must think of some other way of getting there. What is mentioned here? Soapy turned off Broadway. Therefrom he returned. It looked that this most easy way to the island, to the Blackwell Island, was not to be his. He must think of some other way of getting there, because of already his one plan failed. Out of 3 tricks, out of 3 plans, his one plan failed. That's why he must think of some other way of getting there. At a corner of 6th Avenue was a shop with a wide glass window, bright with electric lights. Soapy picked up a big stone and threw it through the glass. People came running around the corner. A cop was the first among them. Soapy stood still and he smiled when he saw the cop, when he saw the policeman. Where's the man? Where's the man that did that? Asked the cop. What the policeman asked? Where's the man that did that? Who had done this? Asked the cop. Don't you think that I might have done it? Said Soapy. He was friendly and happy. What he wanted was coming towards him. What Soapy replies, don't you think that I might have done it? Said Soapy. He was friendly and happy. Who? Soapy was friendly and happy. What he wanted was coming towards him. But the cop's mind would not consider Soapy. But the Soapy's mind would not think Soapy was a criminal. Men who break windows do not stop there to talk to cops. They run away as fast as they can. The cop saw a man further along the street running. He ran after him. And Soapy, sick at heart, walked slowly away. He had failed 2 times. Next, let us see third plan of Soapy. Across the street was another restaurant. It was not so fine as the one on Broadway. The people who went there were not so rich. Its food was not so good. Into this Soapy took his old shoes and his torn clothes. And no one stopped him. What happened? He went inside the restaurant. No one stopped him. He sat down at a table and was soon eating a big dinner. Then what happens? When he had finished, he said that he had no money. Get busy and call a cop. What he said? Immediately call a police. Cop, said Soapy, and don't keep a gentleman waiting. No cop for you, said the waiter. He called another waiter. The 2 waiters threw Soapy upon his left ear on the hard street outside. So instead of calling police, instead of giving to policemen, waiters themselves threw the Soapy outside of the restaurant. He stood up slowly, one part at a time, and beat the dust from his clothes. Prison seemed only a happy dream. The island seemed very far away. A cop who was standing near laughed and walked away. Soapy started moving again. 3 times he failed. When he stopped, he was near several theaters. In this part of the city, streets are brighter and hearts are more joyful than in other parts. Women and men in rich warm coats moved happily in the winter air. A sudden fear caught Soapy. No cop was going to arrest him. Then what happens? We'll see in our next class. Rest of the paragraphs, rest of the lesson will continue in our next class.